Physical therapist. I've been specializing in Parkinson's since the very beginning of, since I actually started in PT school. I got certified in LSVT BIG as a student because we had a lecture on BIG and I was obsessed immediately. It just is a good fit for my personality. And then, right out of PT school, I've been doing it ever since. So I started balance therapy, which is my practice. And right now my clinic is in Southwest Fort Worth, and I started that 10 years ago. So we just celebrated our 10th anniversary, so I'm pretty excited about that. And it's just specializing in Parkinson's and issues with balance and dizziness. So if y'all have any questions at any time, let me know. I can go all day. So if you need a break or a movement break or anything like that, just kind of let me know. All right, perfect. Okay, so this is me. That was one of my classes. Yeah. And really, I think I already introduced myself. I also offer group classes for Parkinson's. So that was one of them. And let's just keep going. We'll keep going. Okay, y'all know what Parkinson's disease is. Okay, I just have this slide in here for some of my students who are still learning about Parkinson's. But let's talk about the motor symptoms first. Okay, so physical therapy. It's very exciting to be a therapist in the Parkinson's world right now because of all the benefits that we know that exercise has for people with Parkinson's. Particularly if you exercise in a very specific way, there are some tricks to your exercise program that you want to implement in order to get the most out of your exercises and change the way that you move and the way that your brain works, okay? So we work a lot on, reducing symptoms with exercises, right? Like stiffness, rigidity. We also work on slow movements by having you speed up your movements and maximizing your effort. So it's all about moving big and fast and practicing over and over. Okay, so physical therapy and exercise reduces your symptoms, right, with Parkinson's, but it's the only thing that we know of so far that slows the progression of the disease. So it's very exciting stuff. Just so you know, I'm not going to talk a lot about non-motor symptoms, but exercise also helps reduce non-motor symptoms. Things like anxiety, sleep, fatigue, pain, constipation. It helps with gut motility. It helps with, all kinds of symptoms and both motor and non-motor. Okay. Next slide. Okay, so here's the deal. At diagnosis, the majority of people with Parkinson's have already withdrawn from exercise and recreational activities, including sporting and social activities. So basically, the majority of people are already pretty sedentary. And the consequence of that is that the less that you're moving, the less that you move, the harder it is to monitor your own movements and then correct them, okay? So when you start to work with a physical therapist, someone with a trained eye, you get a lot of feedback. I'm like, this is how you're moving, this is what it looks like, can you do it this way, You might not be aware of how well you're moving. You might know that you feel a little off balance or something, but you don't know why. And we can kind of pick apart where the movement is breaking down and how to correct that. And then you practice on your own over and over with a lot of effort, and you begin to cue internally with enough practice, okay? Okay, so, no, it does that to me too. Okay, so this is what we're talking about here. So you think of exercise, you think about getting stronger and more flexible, which you do. But the exercises that we're using for Parkinson's actually change the way that your brain works. Because the dopaminergic system is dwindling, right? We give you these movements and these exercises that force your brain to find a way and a new connection in order to make that movement happen, okay? It doesn't have a choice. By giving you these specific exercises, your brain has no choice but to get the point, and then if you practice that over and over, the more established and sensitive that pathway becomes for movement. So we're changing the pathways, we're changing the physiology of the brain and protecting what's left of the brain through exercise. Don't worry. We're gonna keep beating this dead horse. Okay, next chart. Next slide. Okay, so why exercise for Parkinson's? This is why. Because exercise actually, it produces a substance in the brain called BDNF, which protects your old neurons. So the dopamine neurons that you still have, you can protect them and keep them around longer. So that's like an example of slowing the progression of the disease. Okay, so that's happening. At the same time, this substance actually helps you grow new neurons. So it's never too late to change the way that your brain works, okay? So even in older brains, they can form new pathways and stay younger, essentially, okay? So, we're slowing down the progression, we're reducing your symptoms, and the thing about these exercises is they don't actually increase the number of dopamine neurons that you have. We can't put dopamine neurons back in, okay? But it does help you grow more receptors. So whatever dopamine you have left in your brain is just drinking it up better and faster. And so it's a more efficient dopaminergic system, okay? So it does have an impact on the dopaminergic system and helps it work better, okay? It suppresses your motor symptoms, right? Like we talked about, and it improves non-motor symptoms. The key really though is to really maximize your meds. So we work very closely with movement disorder neurologists or neurologists on getting your meds just right. And then you exercise so that you can get the most out of your medications, basically. You can get that much more strength through that much more range of motion. You want to exercise while your meds are on. And so it's like this perfect marriage of the meds being right and the exercises like being maximized, okay? So that being said, medications can come with some unwanted side effects. The more like regular exercisers with Parkinson's don't need as much medication as non-exercisers, okay? So, the less medications that are required, the better, right? You still want to take exactly the amount that you need, but you don't need as much if you exercise regularly. Does that make sense? Okay. Awesome. So it's better to start exercising sooner than later. Why? Because you still have more dopamine neurons, and we want to protect those and keep them on your side longer, okay? Keep them there. And the key is to really establish physical therapy as soon as you can. If you haven't already, you want to start with a physical therapist that specializes in Parkinson's, a neurologic physical therapist, okay? And then they kind of help you identify what your specific challenges are with your movements, like where you need to focus your exercises. And so, you get tabs on your movement, basically. And then we boost your skills up with physical therapy, and it's usually an intense bout of physical therapy. And this is based on the research. You want to do, 12 sessions as close together as possible, so like 2 or 3 times a week for 12 sessions. We boost your symptoms, and then you maintain those gains that you got in physical therapy with your maintenance exercise program. Then you go back to physical therapy every 6 months to a year just to keep tabs on your movements and make sure that you're still staying on course, right? Okay, so this is kind of a fun video. Have you guys seen this before and after video? This was before and after a big therapy stint. So
it's
can you
a shame so many women struggle to lose weight.
Oh, hold on one
This
second.
special coffee detox helped me
That's
drop
okay.
from 184.
See if we can get it to play up here. It's working on her computer, but not up here. Anyway, the point is, he starts walking way better after physical therapy, further and faster, and I've got more videos, don't worry. That's okay, that's okay.
Technology, this room.
Y'all are doing better than others. This is always, my videos are always an issue. Okay, so, let me go to the next slide. Do you need to go back in slideshow mode?
Is that working?
Yeah. Okay. So there are some tricks to your exercise program. So Number one, they have to be Parkinson's specific. I'll tell you what those are. And they're all research-based. So there's two things you have to remember from today, okay? There's skills training, and I'm going to go over skills training over and over and over it today. And then there's cardio. So skills and cardio. Those are the two things you need in your exercise program, okay? Because we know that by increasing blood flow to the brain with cardio, we can get more brain changes when we start practicing skills like weight shifting, posture, spine flexibility, getting from here to there. Okay, and you really want to avoid underdosing. So you want to work with somebody that pushes you. You want to be able to push yourself somehow. So the thing about Parkinson's exercise is you don't want to be able to self-select your pace or your range of motion or your speed. Okay, so like a really good example of that would be getting on the treadmill is kind of brilliant for Parkinson's because you set it on a challenging pace and then you kind of have to chase after the treadmill. You have to keep up with it. You don't get to self-select your pace and slow down and get small. Okay, so that's like one example of a way to keep yourself honest when you're moving and exercising. Okay, so we're rewiring these neural circuits. You want to prime. So when you do cardio, when we increase blood flow to the brain, it lights up parts of the brain. This is all based on learning science that help you learn and maintain new skills. Because with Parkinson's, you kind of basically have to relearn what normal movement feels like in all aspects of your daily life. Okay, you want to, there's John, Scott, and then Dan, I missed you, but you're in there too. You were the first one, I know. Anyway, so that's one of our exercise classes, but so you prime the brain with cardio. Your brain lights up the attention and the working memory centers of your brain, and then when we start learning and maintaining new movement skills, it latches onto it. We can get better brain changes. So the movements for Parkinson's are very intentional, so we use a lot of targets to make sure that you keep it big and it's fast. So it's big and fast movements because that's what's challenging for people with Parkinson's. Small and fast movements are easy for people with Parkinson's. When you think about the festinating gait, right? You're taking small steps, but they're very rapid, right? But it takes you a long time to get from here to there. So with big and fast movements, we practice big walking, almost like you're walking on Broadway, like they're gonna feel real exaggerated. And, and that's how we challenge your symptoms and reduce them. Okay, so it's got to be high effort. So, for example, if we're using targets, right? Some people are good with just like tapping a target, but if that's not enough and somebody's still just moving too slow, we'll have them punch, kick, slap targets, speeds them up. So hit it hard, kick me hard, kick me hard. And that's how I get people to speed up, and it kind of snaps you out of it into a more normal movement. Okay, then once you get that down to the high effort, high intensity, big and fast movements, you practice them over and over. Okay, and if you don't do it frequently enough, your brain won't think it's important enough to remember because it was getting by just fine the way it was, so it thought. But since you know better, you can train your brain to move differently, okay? So a lot of repetition. You want it to be creative, fun, and novel. So if you're getting something out of it emotionally, we can get more brain changes. So, gaming, making it social, ways to make it more fun, adding music, exercising outside in a more enriched environment where you're interacting with others, interacting with your environment in a fun way. Novel, usually the exercises we teach you feel pretty novel. Like the first thing people will tell me is, wow, I just haven't used these muscles in a really long time. I get that a lot. So it's gonna feel novel, but really you're just using those muscles in a way that have gotten lazy without your permission. Okay, all right. So yeah, and then the social aspect is super important. So you want some kind of accountability partner usually. So a friend, a coach, a trainer, a physical therapist, somebody that will notice if you're not there, okay? That's why group classes are really helpful. You really keep it's a phenomenon. It's invaluable. You know, people who do it will tell you the same thing. Okay, we can go on. Tricks of the trade. Okay, I already said this, but exercise when your meds are on, so you get the most out of your exercise program if you can help it. It's a good tip, just a good tip. Enriched environment, like I talked about, getting outside is one of the easiest ways to get into an enriched environment. Emotionally gratifying. If you hate every second of it, your brain is not going to want to change, okay? So it's got to be, it's got to be something you enjoy. If you enjoy walking, walk harder. Like, boost your walking program, either with a treadmill, add walking sticks so that you're moving your arms and you're getting feedback on how well you're moving your arms. Add music so that you're walking to the beat, okay? Just ways to know that, like, you're doing something you would enjoy, but you're making it a little harder. Make it harder. Visual, like, targets are huge. You want to hit the same target every time, okay? That way, if you miss your target, that's an error message to your brain saying too small, and at least now you're aware of that, so you can correct it. So it's all about monitoring and correcting small and slow movements. And these are things we can teach you to do on your own, once you're done with us. So we don't use, another great way to get feedback on how well you're moving is by using video. So it's got to be retrospective though. So if I took a video of you walking and I said, walk as big as you can. and then I'll take a video of you walking and I'll be like, how did that feel? And you'll be like, it felt ridiculous. And I'll be like, well, watch it. Look, watch yourself walking. Does it look as ridiculous as it felt? And they're always like, no, because when you're moving bigger, it feels like you're exaggerating. You're going to feel kind of silly, but in actuality, it's more of a normal movement, okay? So you're kind of like, oh, I can kind of relearn what that feels like, okay? But mirrors are not helpful. We limit the use of mirrors with Parkinson's because, you would think like, okay, stretch your arms out real big and you look in the mirror and you think you're doing it, but your Parkinson's brain is only going to see what it wants to see. I don't know why that is, but you do. But if you look at it retrospectively, then you're like, oh yeah, I wasn't standing up all the way, or, what have you. It's a very insightful. You can do the same thing with, I don't know, do y'all use voice recordings for speech therapy? Okay, so it's like if you hear yourself on a voicemail or something, you're like, that's what I sound like? You might not realize it. So it's all about, increasing awareness in the beginning. These exercises are very confrontational. You're like, oh wow, I didn't realize I wasn't, picking up my leg that bit much or whatever. Okay, this will make more sense when I start showing you videos, but auditory cues are huge. So we use metronomes for timing. So things like walking and swinging your arms requires an internal sense of rhythm, okay? And that kind of goes by the wayside without practice, especially in Parkinson's. So using timing, like they say, there's a study that said even tapping your finger to the beat improves gait in people with Parkinson's. There's just this sense of rhythm. So we use metronomes, we use music to try to speed you up, but at least if you pick a good rhythm, and if you miss that beat, then at least you're aware of the fact that you missed it. It's just feedback. We use like boom whackers, like rhythm tubes that we can bang things with. We also have these like little vibrating rings that you can swing and they vibrate and they make a sound when you move your arms. And if you stop hearing or feeling the vibration, oh, I got to move my arm bigger. Stuff like that. There's little tricks. Tambourines. I have tambourines that I can put on people's feet. Okay, stuff like that. Okay, let's keep going. Thank you. Keep going. Okay, earlier exercisers, the sooner the better, right? This is falls training. We do a lot of falls training. We also do a lot of work on the floor. But the sooner you start, the better, okay? But it's never too late, right? Okay, he's distracting me. We got to keep going. That was one of our tumbling classes you came to once, Dan, in Dallas. I went to literally to a gymnastics gym, and we would just travel across the floor. It's exhausting. It's like awesome exercise for Parkinson's. You have to be very strong and flexible to be able to get on the floor and get back up and move on the floor. So we would just crawl and roll, get down, get back up, fall, get back up, etc. It's very fun. Was it fun?
Yeah, I came more than once.
He came all the way from Fort Worth, so. Okay, so if you're starting exercise later in your Parkinson's diagnosis, it's not too late, like I said before. Just know that it might take a little bit longer to see the benefits, okay? So be patient with yourself, because, you know, especially if it's right after diagnosis, you know, or you're already withdrawn from activities, it's a lifestyle change, okay? So you might be grappling with a new diagnosis and trying to change your lifestyle at the same time. It might just take a little bit longer, okay? And, you know, people that started exercising later have less brain inflammation, just healthier, younger, if you will, brains, okay, that are better able to handle Parkinson's and other non-Parkinson's age-related issues, okay? I think... Okay, so how should you exercise? So if it isn't challenging you, it isn't changing you, right? So again, it's got to be beyond your self-selected pace and everything, okay? So get your heart rate up, number one. Then 2, relearn what normal movement feels like in all aspects of your daily life. So big therapy, for example, is how this all started. Actually, it started with speech therapy, the loud therapy, and then from that, they realized the same concepts work with movement. So they came up with big therapy. And the same therapist since then has come up with power moves. The difference, it's spelled PWR, Parkinson's Wellness Recovery. But the difference is big therapy is mostly standing exercises and sitting exercises. And power moves is all postures, because like from day to day, you know, you've got to move in and out of bed, in and out of cars. You know, you've got to be able to use these skills in all postures. So we practice exercises laying on your stomach, laying on your side, laying on your back, kneeling on all fours, tall kneeling, half kneeling, stepping, walking, sitting, all of it. Okay, because these are things that you do in your daily life. And that's where you have to learn how to move. Yeah, that's it. Let's keep going. Okay, so this is what I was talking about. You know, getting around in bed is a skill. So the 3 main skills that we're talking about, really, we break them down into parts. Okay, so we have very specific exercises that are devoted to mostly posture. So you practice posture exercises. Then you practice weight shifting exercises. Then you practice spine flexibility exercises, okay? And then we combine all 3 of those skills for transitional movements. Transitional movements is a fancy way of saying getting from here to there, okay? Traveling power moves, okay? That's where we kind of choreograph renditions of everyday movements and get you moving, okay? And traveling. Okay, so let's start with posture. I love this picture of you. Okay, so here we're on our knees. Okay, the thing about posture with Parkinson's, guys, is that slowly, over a long period of time, the muscles in the front of your body become overly tight and strong, okay? And they pull you into this flexed position. At the same time, the muscles in the back of your body that hold you upright against gravity kind of get sleepy and just let it happen. Okay, so a lot of these exercises that we do, we're opening up and like stretching the front of the body and then powering up and like firing up the muscles in the back of your body that hold you upright. So we're constantly fighting that. I mean, functionally it's significant with posture, because if you're like this slowly over a long period of time without your permission, you start to come into this posture and that shifts your weight forward onto your toes. Okay, it's really hard to take a big enough step when your hips are way back there. And when you're on your toes, that can, if you're a freezer, trigger a freeze every time. Okay, so if you're freezing, you might not realize it, but your weight needs to get back onto your heels. And so we always start posture. We always start with posture. We call it powering up, power up. Okay? All right, so this is a video. Okay, watch, this is an example. So every exercise has two parts. One of the ways that we make movement easier is by breaking it up into parts. So you're going here. This is an example of a posture exercise on the floor. I'm going all the way down. So here, I'm pushing down into my elbows and I'm getting as tall as I possibly can, okay? So you're either all the way up or you're all the way down. Then I spread out like a pancake and get as flat as I can, and then I pop right back up into my tallest posture. So there's two extremes. There's no such thing as in-between posture. You're either all the way down or all the way up, and we do that in every position, okay? So you relearn where true upright is. Okay, next. Okay, here's an example of a posture exercise on your back. This one is very interesting to watch people learn how to do. It's very strange because I'm pushing down into my hips and elbows and pushing down into my head. I'm just trying to lift my back off the mat. And finding those muscles again is very strange for people at first. It's very awkward at first, okay? But they get really good at it. You get really good at it. So it's fun for me to teach this to people because they get better at it. Okay, here's one on your knees. Okay, you're down and you're up. Okay, I'm adding a little bit of a weight shift. Watch my shoulders go forward, back, and up. And you like really almost have to think about like squeezing your butt. Okay, like you have to like think about it and leaning back with your shoulders because you might want to stop short. But it's all about hitting your posture mark every time. Okay. Here's a class. I think this used to be a video, but this might just be a picture. But we're all doing it together here in this class. Here's another, just like, then we start to play with the skills, right? So she's going to basically be doing like a flip-flop almost, like a bridge, if you will. Okay, weight shifting. Let's watch this video. Okay, this is my daughter, Parker. I didn't name her Parker because I'm a Parkinson's therapist. That's a coincidence. But this is the first day she ever walked. And her hair, it was crazy hair day. And she had amazing hair, so. But watch this, guys. Watch her hips. She's going to move her hips over. See that hip, that weight shift? See that nice, big, wide base of support? It's a nice wide. It's a lot easier to feel weight shifting if your feet aren't stuck together. Look, so posture, power up, shift your weight, and take a step. Up. Okay, so we can stop there. Okay, so let's talk about weight shifting. This is probably my favorite topic because if we don't shift weight, we don't move, period. With Parkinson's, a lot of times it's hard to feel weight shifting if your base of support is really narrow. And with Parkinson's, your brain might want your feet to stick together. It's just your brain's way of trying to make you small, okay? If your feet are close together, it's really hard to recognize and monitor weight shifting. So we usually do all of our exercises with a wide base of support so that you can tap into that sensation. There's a rocking sensation and even momentum if you go big and fast enough. Okay, so here they're doing kind of like cartwheels. We can do weight shifting exercises. Maybe we'll do some power moves in the chair before I leave. We'll see. Wait, can you go back one? Okay, so here's my cartwheels. Do you see how, okay, first of all, I'm using the floor as a target. See that? I know I've gone far enough because I'm literally touching the floor. I don't stop until I touch that floor. And I've shifted weight so far that my opposite hip just wants to come off the chair, okay? So you gotta shift your weight so far, the opposite leg just wants to come off the floor, okay? This is walking, okay? You gotta shift your weight all the way onto one leg in order to take a big enough step with the flying leg. All right, so there's all kinds of ways that we relearn what that feels like. Here, this is kind of like a reaching for the stars. If you want to speed it up, we'll add a jump. Speeds people up right away. Also, targets, so, giving air hugs to agility pulls and multi-directional stepping, etc. All kinds of ways to apply weight shifting and practice. Okay, thank you. Here we go, got my targets. This is a weight shifting exercise. On my elbows, I make sure those targets are just far enough to where I can barely reach them. So I'm really challenging myself and hitting them every time. Okay, wait, play it one more time. Watch my shoulders. See my shoulders moving from side to side? I have to tell people, like, watch my shoulders. Move your shoulders over, then raise your arm. Move your hips over, then lift your leg, etc. Okay? Okay, so there's usually 2 parts to every exercise. 1, 2. Here's another example on your back. This is almost like reaching for the headboard. Okay? So, yeah, I'm using my targets. I have to roll over all the way onto my side in order to get my target. Really good practice. Okay? What are we doing here? Okay, watch this. Big weight shift all the way from my knees onto my chest. Watch this. I'm going to break this movement up into parts. Ready? Chest first. This is 1, hips second, 2, feet 3. Okay? 1, hips, feet on 3. So with Parkinson's, people will sometimes anticipate the next movement before it's time, making it harder to move. So like if I were to get out of a chair for example, somebody with Parkinson's might be on the way out of the chair and try to take a step before they're done standing up. Okay? So you have to finish shifting weight all the way onto your feet before you take a step. It's really hard to take a step if there's still weight on that foot. You don't realize it, but that's what's causing that's why it feels unsteady. Okay? Okay. Oh, getting in and out of a chair. So we do like big renditions. So sometimes getting out of a chair, for example, people will be like, not shifting weight enough, right? Because it's a big weight shift all the way from your hips onto your feet. So what'll happen sometimes is people will start here and just kind of be here. So what we'll do with movements in order to make them bigger is back them up a step, start way back here, and do a big pushing motion to stand, okay? So sometimes you have to like back up. Like my friend, he's having trouble throwing his keys onto the ottoman, right? And he's here and he's stuck and it's small. I'm like, no, you got to start here and fling your keys like all the way over. You got to back it up a notch and then start. And then it's very fun. It's very fun. We were throwing keys for like 10 minutes the other day. It's pretty fun. It's like, good one. Okay. Weight shifting and standing. If this is something that looks scary to you, of course we can modify it. We'll use, like you can face the wall and just touch pieces of tape on the wall. You build up to it because it takes some courage. Spine flexibility. This is for rigidity. Okay, just so you know, with Parkinson's stiffness, right? It's not like inflexibility that you think of in ortho, where you hold a stretch for 30 seconds and then you'll have more of a long-term benefit. With rigidity, you really have to keep the stretch moving, okay, from one extreme to the other. And for spine flexibility, we do twisting. So like for example, he's going up, there's 2 parts. He's gonna push down to lift up as high as he can here. He's gonna needle through and drop his shoulder onto the floor all the way here. So I'm giving him a target up here, and I might give him a target on the flip side that he has to like really twist to reach. Okay, and then you do it fast. So big and fast, one extreme to the other. And it's that extreme twist from one to the other that gets it to loosen up, rather than holding stretches. That's my point. You don't hold stretches. Okay, so here's another, okay? Working on spine flexibility here. We can go to the next one. This is like opening and closing the book. So this is upper trunk rotation. And then, if somebody's moving slow, sometimes we'll have them speed up by having them clap. Like, I want to hear you clap. Okay, if they're just kind of touching here, if I'm like, clap as loud as you can, that'll speed them up. There's little tricks like that. It's really interesting. Okay, spine flexibility and standing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so we're breaking up movements into parts. This is a lot of people on this one this is a good example of people anticipating the next movement before it's time. So what'll happen is, this is 1, this is its own thing, and this is 2, right? So people will start to go, and they'll get small, and they'll skip number 1. And so I'm like, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's kind of like how we start to correct that. With me?
Just like our handwriting gets smaller.
Get smaller as you go. You'll notice your name, you got a nice big first letter in your name, and then as you keep going, it gets smaller. It's hard to keep that amplitude throughout the training. Okay, here are just more examples of like spine flexibility. So instead, you can use targets, but you can also use the environment as an obstacle. So is this a video? Do you know? Yeah. Okay, so she has to go without touching the wall, if possible, So you have to go over or around objects, and it's a good way to kind of maintain that relationship with where you are in space, in relationship to your own body, but where you are in relationship to your environment. So we use obstacles and targets all the time. Okay, so more spine flexibility. Then we start to if you start throwing stuff and bouncing it, that speeds you up, okay? She's awesome. Yeah, I guess that other one isn't a video. Okay, this is a video. Okay. He's one that likes to try to take a step usually before he's ready. So we're working on parts before you go on to the next movement. Okay, transitional movements. This is getting from here to there. So let's see. If you look at my little home exercise program here, we got posture, weight shifting, spine flexibility, and this is where we kind of travel. This is your transitional get from here to there movement, where we put them all together. So moving your hips up and over the rainbow with a bridge. Rather than just doing a bridge, which is a good exercise for Parkinson's, we're adding like a weight shift and a stretch and everything, okay? So in the chair, you've got posture, weight shifting, spine flexibility, transit. So this is getting out of the car, okay? It requires all 3 skills. Okay, here we go. So posture, weight shifting, spine flexibility. This is what I call the big stomp. Okay, it's really hard to land. You want to land with your foot right next to your hand up there. It's a big step. That's all it is. But people have a hard time getting their foot all the way up there. Extra points if you can hit with a heel or a flat foot. We're always trying to get people to strike with their heels and stay off of their toes. Okay, posture, weight shifting, spine flexibility, and smell your armpits exercise. Okay, and let everybody else smell your armpits too while you're at it. I mean, it's really big. Okay, posture, weight shifting, spine flexibility, and then here. Okay, so this is weight shifting, right? Let me give you an example. So pause that for a second. So this is what I'll see. Somebody will be standing here, okay, and they'll be like, beautiful weight shift to this side, and they'll come back to this side and they'll hit with like kind of a stiff leg. And they won't know why they feel unsteady, but I'm like, it's a weight shifting problem. So you need to watch my outside leg. I'm really gonna lunge into that outside leg. Both arms come up. The more full body, the better for Parkinson's. Full body movements, okay? Then you come back together, and then she's like, okay, I got it. So she does next time, but she squatted with both legs instead of the outside leg. So her brain still was trying to split the weight down the middle. Does that make sense? So instead of weight shifting, she's still trying to stay right here. So I'm like, no, it's here. So like, this leg is straight, this leg is bent. I could even lift this leg if I wanted to. That's a weight shift. Okay, so people will try all kinds of ways, and I'll be like, does that feel different? She's like, yeah, that feels different. Okay, feels more secure. Okay, these are just fun little exercises we'll do. Can you go back a little? How are we doing on time? Can you go back one more? These aren't videos? Okay, no problem. Okay, getting on and off the floor, one of my favorites. Let's watch. Watch this. And it's different for everybody. Big stomp, walk your hands over there, keep your weight on that leg until this leg is placed, then power up to stand. Okay. Keep your weight over there until this leg is ready for you to shift weight and stand on it. Okay. Is the bathtub video work? Guess. Yeah. That's okay. Okay, hand exercises we can also do. You know, if you're having trouble with fine motor skills, I'll just teach you one really quick one. They're finger flicks. Have y'all learned finger flicks before? Okay, so you start with a really tight fist. Let's say I'm having trouble with my buttons, okay? You make a really tight fist because you got to start small, you got to start big, and then you flick it like you're flicking water. I heard that. Did y'all hear that friction when you, if you can hear it, that means you're moving fast enough. I want you to, okay, so you do 5 flicks in a row as big as you can. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you try that fine motor skill again and see if it helps. Because sometimes it's hard with fine motor skills because your hands might be a little stiff. So that's like a quick little go-to hack. See if that helps loosen up your hands and then try it again. But there's all kinds of hands exercises we can do, okay?
Before you sign your name.
Oh yeah, before you sign your name,
Yeah, huge.
try those. You can also practice signing your name in the air, but you might still get smaller in the air, so. Oh, balance training. We use squishy surfaces, step onto squishy surfaces, step over things all the time. Okay, this is a really interesting one. So I'm gonna let you watch him and then I'll explain. Okay, so with Parkinson's, direction changes, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but that can be hard while walking and changing directions. Can we pause it for? Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so what will happen when people go to change directions, your brain will try to make you small by sticking your feet together. But the key to changing directions is to separate your legs. You gotta get your legs to separate from each other. So there's all kinds of things we'll try. One thing might be just walking around, you know, like a cone or something, right? Or, in his case, stepping over an obstacle, stepping over it again, see how my legs didn't get to come back together? Stepping over it, and then you keep walking big, and then I had him try to emulate that on the other side without a bolster there. Try to go over, over, and through. So he would go over, over, and he would try to step together and be like almost over, over, and then all the way through and hit with your heel, and then keep going, okay? So let's watch it again, knowing that. It took us a while to get him to do it on the flip side. Watch this. Here he goes. Over, over, and through. That was good. And through. Not bad. Okay? So that's kind of the idea. Oh, we do gait training, just any way we can get you to move big and separate your legs while you're walking. So does this play at all? Okay. All right. Let's try this one. He's got a little dystonia, so I had him try to carry, that straightened his spine up for walking. I had him carry like a 15-pound sandbag on one shoulder. Also, you know, for this posture, I'll put like a weighted backpack on the front of their body, so now their back is like, ooh, and it straightens them up, and then it's easier to walk. So these are those vibrating rings I was telling you about. Watch. So he's swinging that thing, and he's standing up very nicely right here. That weighted backpack just cues those muscles to remember to do their job. Okay? Okay. Oh, this is an example of stretching. I just want y'all to know, remember, don't hold the stretch. We kind of move in and out of stretches like this, as opposed to holding them with Parkinson's. Okay? There's a weight shifting. She's moving her shoulders back and forth. We try to add a weight shifting component. Oh, freezing of gait. 1 in 3 people with Parkinson's freeze. So this is something we can really focus on in physical therapy. Sometimes we'll just be like, okay, if you really just want to focus on freezing, just come in 5 days in a row. We'll do like a set of 5, like a series of 5 sessions where we just focus on freezing. But this is this is one example of ways that we'll address it. So first thing there's this thing called the 5S method. So the first S is stand tall. Okay, that's the hardest part for people that are freezing because they're doing this, and the hardest part for them is to stop fighting their busy feet. Okay, so it's like stop. Like the more you fight your feet, the worse it gets. So stop. You got to stop and stand tall. Okay, that's one of the S's. Then shake it off because freezing is stressful. You got to shake it off. Take a deep breath, and then start shifting your weight. It's really hard to freeze when you're shifting your weight. Okay, so you just start moving your hips back and forth, and then you'll feel when your leg wants to come off the ground, you pick it up, take a big marching step, and hit with your heel. So it's like, and then obviously that's a lot of steps to remember, right? So we got to practice them, practice. And then we put you in situations that might trigger a freeze. Freezing often has a trigger, okay? So people will also kind of, I found like a little knot in the wood there. I'm gonna try to step over that. Sometimes if you give somebody an external focus and give them something to step over, that'll get them out of a freeze. Or you have them kind of sing a song in their head, like the ants go marching, dun, 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 dun. Sometimes people can kind of get their feet going if they have that rhythm in their head. It's silly. The brain, you can kind of hijack it sometimes. So the point is, it requires effort. Now let's talk a little bit more about cardio. A lot of times in my physical therapy sessions, I focus on skills the whole time because we have a lot of work to do. But cardio is kind of something like, I'm like, this is how you need to be doing it on your own. Like, do this before you come if possible. But it's quite a bit of cardio, okay? You're pushing pretty hard. You only want to be able to speak in like short sentences hard, okay? It's a lot of effort. So we got to know that we're getting blood flowing to that brain. So one way to do that is by monitoring your heart rate. So I have a smartwatch, and you can have somebody like me help you calculate your target heart rate. And you can say, am I staying within that target heart rate? If you're in 60 to 80% of your heart rate max, then you're in a good zone. We know you're getting enough circulation to the brain to make a difference. Okay, so monitoring your heart rate is one way. Another way is just to, can I only talk in short sentences? Another way is, that's another good way, like pick a number of revolutions per minute on the bike and make sure you stay at that speed, okay? And that you don't get below that and slow down, self-select. So using music, using some kind of, goal like that to keep you honest, okay? Any questions so far? Okay, all right. So this is an example like I gave you before. Treadmill, it's skills training and it's cardio, right? This dog managed to find a way to cheat, but it's really hard to cheat on a treadmill, okay? Okay. Okay, so I recommend heart rate monitors. That was my tumbling class. This was a circuit class where we set up stations. So it's cardio and skills at the same time. So you go to this station and you work on weight shifting, and then you do it for 2 minutes, and then you've got like a little bit of a break, and then you go to the next station and you hit that one really hard for 2 minutes. That's an example. Circuit, skills, and cardio. If we can get 2 birds with 1 stone in a class, we'll do that. This was my tumbling class. This was really fun for me. Yeah, this is what it looked like in fast motion. The people are just traveling across the floor. Forwards, backwards, sideways, up, down, over, under. Okay? The thing about getting on the floor, guys, is that's huge. Is like, okay, so here's the deal. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is an example. Remember this power move where you needle up, needle through, and drop. Needle up, needle through, and drop. Well, we're gonna take that into a roll. Needle up, needle through, drop your shoulder, and roll. Okay? And that's how we take it into a transitional movement. But the thing about getting on the floor that's huge, guys, is that the more that you get on and off the floor, the less likely you are to fall, number one. The less likely you are to injure yourself in a fall, okay? And the more balanced confidence you have, okay? So getting on and off the floor is huge, plus it requires a lot of good skills with your mobility, strength, endurance, range of motion to be able to get on and off the floor. So floor training is huge in my opinion, and something people tend to shy away from. And that's something that we just grab the bull by the horns and just go for. Like, the sooner the better in therapy. So I don't even use like treatment mats. I'm like, we're getting on the floor. Okay. I mean, unless you need treatment mats. You know, I'm reasonable. Okay. Box jumping. Box jumping. Nice, Dan.
I did it once.
Only once.
How to get up off the
How to get up off the floor.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That takes skills too.
It does. Like, you have to be very strong and flexible and all of the things to be able to even do that. So it in itself, that's an exercise, okay? Tumbling. You guys heard my spiel on tumbling. It's all traveling floor work. Really exhausting, really good workout. Okay, HIIT classes. This is the circuit training. Will this play? Okay, so cardio, direction changes, arm swings. Look at him rolling and getting up off the floor. Those are all targets for where to place your feet, all while working on your core. Okay. Oh, while we're talking about core strength real fast, I'm just going to throw this out there. With Parkinson's, you don't want to do crunches. Don't avoid crunches. You do want to strengthen your core, but you want to focus more on planking activities. You want to have a long spine, side planks, forward planks. Y'all know what planks are? I'll demonstrate. I love the floor, so here I go. This is a plank, for example, like a push-up position, okay? You can also do a plank on your elbows, plank on your knees, all right? Side planks. That's what I mean. Long spine, core work. Okay. We don't want to encourage this posture, is what I'm saying. Martial arts, we had an awesome martial arts guy come in. As you can see, nice, big, intentional movements. Very fun stuff. This one we've seen a bajillion times. There's Dan. Don't miss it. Don't miss Dan this time.
And Molly and Julie.
Such a good crew, you guys. I miss them. This was like years ago. What?
That was before COVID.
That was before. Yeah. It was. You're right. Oh gosh. Oh boy. Okay. Y'all know the benefits of power moves. That's basically what this whole lecture was about. So let's go to the next slide. Okay. Pole walking. Have y'all heard about pole walking for Parkinson's? Okay. So it's brilliant for Parkinson's because now you've got these sticks, right? It's not an assistive device, by the way. It's not like using a cane or a walker. It's athletic equipment. And it works because it gives you feedback and it encourages you to swing your arm. So if I start dragging one arm, I notice it right away and I get that feedback from my stick and I pick up the slack and I start swinging my arms again. Okay? You're also getting more information about what the ground is like underneath your feet from your hands now. Okay? So you don't have to look down. You can stand up straighter and you can walk more efficiently. Okay? You can walk way more efficiently with sticks than you can on your own. And so that means you can walk further if you want to, get a better workout, get more of a full body workout. You can also have more confidence, so you might venture off into more, rugged terrain if you're feeling it, that you might not otherwise do. It's great for coordination, everything. So that's a good way to boost your walking program if you enjoy walking, for example. Okay, or if you just want to get better at it. You can also do drills with poles. So this is just a fast motion example. Well, we use these poles. We basically just push them around. Just by having your hands on these poles, it already stretches you out. So if I squat down with my hands on these poles, it's going to pull me in two directions. Okay, so you're moving bigger than you would if you didn't have the poles. So it's kind of brilliant. So we do sitting and standing exercises with them. I just kind of want you to get the point. Okay, dance classes for Parkinson's, right? Like other forms of exercise, it boosts cognition, balance. It's very socially inclusive, which is awesome. It improves gait and posture. Okay, so if you enjoy dancing, it's a wonderful outlet. And there is a group in town that does dance for Parkinson's, besides myself. Do y'all know about it? Okay, if anybody wants to know more about the dance program with Dorothy, ask her. What's your name again? Lee? Ask Lee. Okay? Yeah, so dance for Parkinson's. Oh, free consultations. You guys, on Balance Therapy, if you want to call me, I can be a resource for you anytime. I'd be happy to be. Feel free to call me, email me. I've got cards up here. You can get on my email list and handouts. I also wrote, let's keep going. Oh, this is a fun one. Okay, so this is my friend Crystal. So every day, let's go ahead and start with the bottom one, okay? This is a day in the life of a successful person with Parkinson's. This is what she does, guys. She's like one of my mentors, along with Jan. She goes through some power moves, right? I mean, I wish she was doing them a little faster, but anyway. Power moves, okay? So she goes through this whole little series. I'm gonna let you watch this for a few minutes, if you don't mind. We have an hour and a half, so I told you I can go all day. Okay, now she's doing spine flexibility. Brilliant. But she looks pretty good, right? So now, let's go up. Okay, so then she was like, and then after I go through, okay, here's what she does. She wakes up in the morning, has a cup of coffee, takes her Parkinson's meds. 30 minutes later, she goes through a little power moves routine, and then she goes and she makes her bed with finesse. And she takes the pillows and she tosses them like violently, and she hits the pillows, and I'm like, you've got to take a video and send this to me. So she doesn't live in Texas, so watch this now. This is her. And she wanted me to tell you that just by making her bed, she got her heart rate all the way up to 96. So just stuff like this. You know, if you can like kind of work it into your routine. I mean, we're moving around all day anyway. Why not move with gusto? I'm almost done, I promise. Looks like fun, doesn't it? I wish I had that much finesse when I made my bed. This woman is just awesome. She's written a couple of blog posts with me, and that's where it's at. Okay, you got the idea? Okay, next, yeah, okay, recipe for brain change, guys. In summary, auditory cues, tactile cues like the walking sticks, accountability partner, okay, cardio and skills training, enriched environment like being outside, and emotionally agreeable. Pick something you actually will do and make it harder, okay? Something you would actually enjoy doing. You just start. If you don't know where to start, just start. Just like I said, if you like walking, walk and make it harder, okay? Focus on movements and exercises that you already enjoy, because most likely those are the ones that you're going to stick with and you're going to actually do, okay? It takes commitment. You know, there's a lot of discipline involved, especially if apathy is one of your symptoms, right? So it's a matter of discipline, accountability partners, all that stuff. I wrote a free ebook on my website detailing all the exercise essentials for Parkinson's, everything I've told you about today. If you didn't memorize it all, you can just download my ebook for free and you know, reference it anytime. Yeah, ask for help. You need a really good team, you know, if you want to be successful with your Parkinson's. Somebody like me to squawk at you, your friends, you know, try not to get lonely. Loneliness will actually speed up your Parkinson's, so just reach out, okay? Whether it's to like somebody on your care team or somebody that loves you, all right? Just keep it up. Just try, you know, what can you do today for somebody else? Take the emphasis off of you and you'll get something out of it. Just don't tell them I said that. Okay. Right, puttering around is good for Parkinson's. If you didn't make it to the gym that day, kind of like making your bed, putter around. It's good, it's hard to move with Parkinson's, but it's good for you to continue to vacuum and put away the dishes and make your bed and do all those things and get your heart rate up to 96. Okay. Mental rehearsal. This is just, we can skip this one. If you're feeling not well or injured, you can actually rehearse these movements in your mind, okay? And it actually helps establish those pathways and keeps them going. We know we all have days that we're not able to do our exercises or on vacation or whatever. So you can actually rehearse. So this is a video of our friend Gretchen with Parkinson's. I just wanted you to hear it from her experience.
Okay, I'm here with Gretchen Rosworm. She is an exerciser with Parkinson's, and I want to hear today a little bit about your journey with exercise. So tell me how your relationship with exercise has changed since you were diagnosed.
Well, when I was diagnosed, I had a lot of depression and anxiety, and I really didn't do the things that I normally did. So things like exercise were totally off the table, and I really just spent a lot of time at home feeling bad. And after about 2 years of that, one day I woke up and said, I'm going to go exercise. And I started really easy, doing a couple times a week. Before I knew it, I was doing 6 days a week, and I feel terrific. I feel totally different, and there's nothing that I would tell. The first thing I would tell anybody that has Parkinson's, get your exercise, because it does everything for our cells.
Okay. Could y'all hear that? Good. Is there
Okay,
anything?
I'm here with Gretchen.
Okay. Thank you guys so